Really good.
Let's jump into our top story, which is the UAE has recorded 0 COVID-19 related deaths in the last 7 days. This broke over the weekend, and I think, as we all know, COVID-19 threw a spanner in the works in the last 2 years. So it's finally amazing to be able to share the news that there have been 0 new COVID-19 related deaths in the UAE in the last week. So with COVID-19 positive cases dropping daily, we've also seen some serious changes, which the guys are reporting all last week. And I don't know about you, but I was keeping up with fervently because I was like, going on. So in case you've been living under a rock, as you guys know, masks are no longer required to be worn outdoors. PCR test requirements are slowly being lifted and travel has become a lot easier.
Now let's jump into some of the latest rules. Dubai ended the PCR test requirement for all vaccinated travelers effective Saturday, February 26th. So that means no PCR tests are required if you're vaccinated before entering Dubai as a traveler. Now, close contacts of COVID-19 positive cases who don't have symptoms don't need to quarantine, and wearing masks in Dubai is optional outdoors but mandatory indoors, and traveling coming into Dubai will need to present an approved COVID-19 vaccination certificate with a QR code. And unvaccinated inbound travelers need to show a negative result for a PCR test conducted within the last 48 hours or a certificate of recovery from the virus with a QR code, which is obtained a month before the travel date. So was all this in place for you as well? You had to show your vaccination certificate?
So every time we went into the airport, you need to show your vaccination certificate. So do not forget that. We had to print it out. We also had it on our phone, but I think for some reason I still feel like the printout is more helpful, because what if you get to an airport and you don't have Wi-Fi or something?
That's so true.
And then on the way back, we weren't sure, and then it was like, okay, so you don't need a PCR test. However, when we got off the plane, they're still doing random spot checks on different flights coming through. So there was a flight arriving in from somewhere else, and there was one coming in from Tbilisi. But the flight from Tbilisi, which is where I was coming from, we had to get a spot check PCR, which I think is fabulous because obviously, yes, cases are declining, and yes, deaths are dwindling, but COVID is still present. And there's very clearly an amazing process at Dubai Airport. So got off the airplane, got my PCR test, was out the door with my bags in about 40 minutes, and 4 hours later, I had my negative result. How unreal is that? So good.
So good. That's so quick.
So quick.
That really is, like, from 24 hours, reduce it to 6 hours, now 4 hours. That's amazing.
I guess, yeah, I guess like the demand for COVID tests isn't as big, so they're able to get them through quite quicker. We're going through Terminal 2. Like, you just think that you're in like the busiest airport in the world for international travel, and yet they have the process so good for residents, like smart gates, and your bag just comes. And it's like, I remember traveling when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the airport was such a drama, and it was such a stress. And they obviously, it's still a hassle in COVID and everything is still tricky, but the fact that you're able to get through the airport so quickly is just great.
But how does spot checks work? Do they just randomly go up to a selected few individuals, or it's like one entire flight will have their
one
COVID
entire
checks?
flight needs to get the test.
Okay.
And then I was asking the dude who's doing my test, I was like, how do they decide? Like, why is it Tbilisi? Is it because of COVID cases there? And he was like, we just kind of get told, but each day it's different. So I don't know how they decide. Maybe it's based on COVID cases. Who knows?
I wonder why they wouldn't test out all the flights, like everyone landing at the airport and entering the country.
Because, well, especially at busy times, and what you could have 100,000 people going through over a weekend, or a few 100,000 people going through over a weekend.
Not like for transfer flights, as in checks for everyone entering Dubai. You know, like when you land and before you do your baggage or like visa. Immigration.
I guess that would be just a massive number of high volume of tests that you need to do.
Okay, so yours was done in the airplane, not after immigration.
It was done when I got off the airplane. So when you go through before you get to your baggage.
Okay, so it's like selected flights that have this. Oh, that's interesting.
But they choose it and they base it. So it's like a random spot check. But like there was so many, you think that's going to be a faff, but then they literally had like 150 stations, so no one queued.
That's
well,
so good.
I didn't queue.
But the fact
I was quick off the flight.
Dubai, here I come. But that's so good. Before Georgia and after, like, you didn't have to worry about a PCR test either times.
No.
So it wasn't that, it was in your head, like, oh, I have to like 48 hours or 24 hours before run to a clinic and get a PCR test done.
No, it was so handy. So all of the positive news with COVID.
It's all returning.